When we talk about Second Lieutenant Arun Khetarpal, we are talking about a legend of the 1971 war, a man who at the age of 21 stood his ground in a burning tank to protect the nation. Naturally, when a film titled Ikkis is announced with a 200 crore budget, the audience expects a cinematic monument. Instead, what we have received is a project that feels fundamentally confused about its own soul. It is a film that attempts to marry the gritty reality of war with the sanitized, often romanticized tropes of modern Bollywood, and in doing so, it fails both its subject and its audience. One of the most jarring elements of Ikkis is its insistence on a specific brand of geopolitical romanticism that feels increasingly out of touch with historical reality. There is a pivotal scene where Dharmendra Ji's character, a retired brigadier, engages in a philosophical dialogue with a Pakistani brigadier. The subtext of this conversation suggests a mutual brotherhood, a narrative that the enemy is merely a mirror image of ourselves, forced into conflict by circumstance rather than intent. While Aman Ki Aasha is a noble sentiment in a vacuum, in the context of a film about a war hero who died defending the border, it feels like an unearned whitewashing of history. The film portrays the Pakistani military establishment as a group of principled, humane individuals, conveniently ignoring the historical brutality of the 1971 and 1999 conflicts or the reality of state-sponsored tactical shifts following their conventional defeats. By attempting to humanize an institution like the ISI through a scene where Brigadier mocks their recruitment efforts, the film borders on historical revisionism. It suggests an independence within the Pakistani military that simply does not exist. For an audience that has witnessed the tragedies of 26/11 and Pulwama, this subtle pro-Pakistan agenda doesn't come across as nuanced filmmaking. It feels like a refusal to acknowledge the gravity of the threat our soldiers face. A war film lives or dies on the shoulder of its lead. Second Lieutenant Arun Khetarpal was a man of immense aura and physical courage. Unfortunately, Agastya Nanda's portrayal lacks the internal gravity required for such a monumental role. Acting is not merely the delivery of lines, it is the occupation of space. Nanda appears underconfident, his expression often remaining stagnant in moments that demand visceral emotion or stoic resolve. When we compare this wooden performance to the seasoned energy of past actors or even the much maligned Arjun Kapoor, one realizes that screen presence cannot be manufactured through lighting or pedigree. The nepotism debate often circles back to a single point: meritocracy. Nanda's casting feels like a byproduct of industry connections rather than creative fitness. His physical frame lacks the ruggedness of an army officer, a flaw that filmmakers tried to mask by casting supporting actors who were even smaller in stature. It is a shallow solution to a deep-rooted problem of authenticity. Similarly, Simar Bhatia's performance as the love interest falters due to lack of linguistic command. For a Hindi film lead, the inability to deliver dialogue with natural cadence breaks the immersion, turning a poignant breakup scene into an exercise in artifice. If there is a heartbeat in Ikkis, it belongs entirely to Dharmendra Ji. Watching him is a bittersweet experience. He carries the film with the grace of true legend. This is his most significant screen time in a decade, and he utilizes every second to remind us what genuine screen presence looks like. He doesn't need to stare blankly at the camera to convey depth. He does it through a glimmer in his eyes or a slight tremor in his voice. His performance carries an added weight of melancholy following his recent passing, making his scenes feel like a final, precious gift to Indian cinema. Jaideep Ahlawat too provides a masterclass in nuance. Shedding his familiar Haryanvi persona, he delivers an emotionally resonant performance. There is a specific sequence where he prepares to break the news of Arun's death to Dharmendra's character. Here Ahlawat acts through his eyes, capturing the agony of a man holding back a deluge of grief. These moments of brilliance, however, only serve to highlight how hollow the rest of the film feels. For a film with a 200 crore price tag, Ikkis is surprisingly devoid of the very thing it promised: action. Arun Khetarpal was a tank commander, a centurion of the battlefield who decimated enemy armor with legendary precision. Yet the screenplay is so muddled, caught between being a domestic drama and a war epic, that the tank warfare is relegated to the background. The film feels consulted and confused. It lacks the tactical grit of a modern war film and the narrative focus of a character study. It is a 2-hour experience that feels like a missed opportunity. Instead of honoring a martyr's legacy with a definitive cinematic tribute, Bollywood has delivered a sanitized, nepo-centric product that hides behind the shield of patriotism. Ikkis is a film that wants the prestige of a war hero's name without doing the hard work of authentic storytelling. It prioritizes industry lineage over talent and geopolitical fantasy over historical grit. Other than legendary Dharmendra Ji and a brief shining turn by Jaideep Ahlawat, there is little to recommend here. It is a slow, uninspired effort that does a disservice to the memory of Second Lieutenant Arun Khetarpal. If you want to see a true tribute to the spirit of the Indian Army, you are better off revisiting films like Dhurandhar. Ikkis is unfortunately a slop that fails to rise to the occasion. Thank you so much for listening.